The twin suns of Varnath shone brightly over the royal arena. Thousands of aliens from across the galaxy had gathered to witness the greatest event of the year, the royal test. It was not just a test of strength. It was a test of soul. Whoever passed would become the royal champion of Princess Xyra, heir to the Varnath Empire. High in the marble stands, the princess sat on her glowing throne. Her long silver hair shimmered under the twin suns, and her golden eyes watched everything with calm pride. Around her, alien nobles whispered and laughed, betting on which elite warrior would win the honor. Far below, the arena floor shined with energy lines that pulsed like living light. Alien champions stood proudly in armor made of crystal and metal, their weapons humming with strange power. Each one had trained their whole life for this moment. But in a quiet corner behind the heavy doors, a human janitor named Eli mopped the marble floor. He wore a plain gray uniform, his hands rough from work, his eyes tired but kind. He didn't belong in this world of shining aliens and proud warriors. He had come from Earth to work as a cleaner in the royal palace, the lowest job anyone could have. From where he stood, Eli could hear the crowd cheering as the first warrior stepped forward. The air trembled as the test began. A giant crystal floated above the ground, glowing with blue light. The alien placed his hand on it, and suddenly the light turned red. The warrior screamed and fell. The crowd gasped. He had failed. Then came the second warrior, and strong, tall, and covered in shining armor. But again, when he touched the crystal, the light turned red. One after another, the greatest fighters in the galaxy tried. And one after another, they failed. A heavy silence filled the arena. The crowd, once loud and full of laughter, grew uneasy. Even the royal guards exchanged nervous looks. On her throne, Princess Xyra frowned. She had expected to find a hero, a champion worthy of her people. But none of these warriors had passed the test. Impossible, one of the generals said. The royal test cannot be fooled. The princess stood, her long gown glowing faintly with starlight. Her voice, soft but commanding, echoed across the arena. Is there no one in this entire galaxy who carries a pure heart? No one answered. The crowd remained still, and then, out of the corner of her eye, the princess saw him, a man in a gray uniform, quietly cleaning the floor at the edge of the arena. His head was down, his broom slow, his movements calm. He looked so out of place among the shining armor and glowing weapons that it almost felt unreal. The princess tilted her head slightly, and a small smile touched her lips. That one, she said suddenly, pointing her finger toward Eli. Let him try. The entire arena froze. Everyone turned to look at the human janitor. Eli looked up, confused, the broom still in his hand. He blinked, unsure if she was serious. Me? He asked softly. The princess laughed, a sound like silver bells. Yes, you, why not? None of my warriors passed. Let's see if a human janitor can do better. The nobles burst into laughter. The generals frowned but said nothing. The guards, uncertain, stepped toward Eli. Your Highness, one of them said carefully. He is not trained? Exactly, the princess said, still smiling. That's what makes it interesting. The crowd laughed again, but some began whispering nervously. No one had ever questioned the princess's orders before. Eli felt his heart pounding. I just cleaned the floors, he said quickly. I'm not supposed to. Before he could finish, two guards gently guided him forward. Don't argue, one whispered. No one disobeys the princess. Eli stumbled into the center of the arena. The air was hot. The glowing crystal floated before him, pulsing like a living heart. He felt its energy pressing against his chest. The princess leaned forward, resting her chin on her hand, eyes filled with amusement. Go on, human. Let's see what happens. Eli looked around. Thousands of eyes watched him, some mocking, some curious, some angry. His hand shook. He had never been so scared in his life, but deep inside, something told him to just try. He took a slow breath and reached out. His fingers touched the crystal. The moment his skin met the glowing surface, the blue light turned white, pure, blinding white that filled the entire arena. The air hummed. The ground trembled. The laughter stopped. The princess's smile faded. Her eyes widened in shock. The arena was silent. No one moved. The white light still glowed around Eli, the human janitor who stood frozen in the center. His hand was still resting on the crystal, but now the crystal floated higher, humming softly. Alien nobles stared in shock. The generals looked at one another, confused and angry. The warriors who had failed the test lowered their heads, unable to understand how a simple human had succeeded where they had fallen. On the royal platform, Princess Xyra sat very still. The laughter that had once danced on her lips was gone. Her golden eyes glowed faintly in the strange light. She had meant to make a joke, a harmless tease, a bit of fun after so many failures, but now, the ancient royal crystal had chosen the human. The crowd began to murmur. "This cannot be," one noble hissed. "The system is broken," another whispered. "A janitor?" someone shouted. The sound grew louder and louder until the whole arena filled with angry, fearful voices. Eli slowly stepped back, frightened. He didn't understand what he had done. He hadn't meant to break anything. He only touched it because she told him to. Then, the crystal slowly descended again, its white light fading to a soft glow. It hovered before him like a living thing. A faint voice, neither male nor female, echoed through the arena. "The worthy one is found." The words carried through the air like thunder. Princess Xyra's heart skipped a beat. Her royal advisors rushed to her side, bowing low. "Your Highness," said General Korath, his face pale and his voice shaking. "This cannot stand. The test choice must be re-evaluated. It must be a mistake." Xyra looked down at Eli. He was still staring at the crystal, eyes wide, face pale, holding his broom as if it were his only protection. He looked harmless, weak, simple. But somehow, the ancient trial had chosen him. Her lips curved into a strange smile. "A mistake?" she said softly. "Or fate?" The general's jaw tightened. "He's human. He cannot even control energy flow. He doesn't belong among our kind." The princess stood slowly, her long gown shimmering. The crowd quieted. Everyone watched as she descended the steps, walking toward the arena floor. Each step she took echoed like a heartbeat. Eli wanted to step back, but his legs felt heavy. He didn't know what to say, what to do, or even if he should bow. When she reached him, she stopped just a few feet away. Her golden eyes met his blue ones. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then she tilted her head and smiled. That same teasing, dangerous smile she had worn before. "So," she said softly, "the janitor from Earth passed my royal test." Eli swallowed hard. I didn't mean to cause trouble, Your Highness. She suddenly reached out and pinched his arm just like before. Her long fingers pressed his skin and she laughed. "You're real," she said. "And fragile." The crowd gasped. The Princess of Varnath had never touched a servant, let alone a human. But she didn't care. There was something strange about him, something she couldn't quite name. "Tell me, human," she said in a low voice. "How did you do it?" "I don't know," he said honestly. "I just touched it." For a moment her expression softened. Then she turned to the crowd and raised her voice. "Let it be known," she declared, "that the ancient test has spoken. The human has passed, and by royal law the one who passes shall serve as royal champion." The entire arena erupted in chaos. Nobles shouted. Generals protested. Even the high priest bowed low and said, "Your Highness, this cannot be allowed." But Xyra's voice cut through the noise like lightning. "The law is older than any of us," she said firmly. "It cannot be broken, and I will not hide from what fate has chosen." She turned back to Eli, her eyes unreadable. "Congratulations, Janitor. You are now my royal champion." Eli blinked, confused. "Champion? But I'm not—" She interrupted him, her tone sharp but playful. "You will be." Then, before anyone could say another word, she turned and walked back toward her throne, her long silver hair flowing behind her. The guards stared at each other, unsure whether to laugh or panic. Eli stood alone in the arena, surrounded by thousands of eyes. He felt like the smallest man in the galaxy. But deep inside, something warm glowed in his chest. The same light that had come from the crystal. The ancient crystal, which had rejected every alien warrior, now floated higher and began to sing, a deep, haunting sound that echoed through the royal city. From somewhere above, a voice, soft, ancient, and powerful, spoke words no one could understand. The crowd fell silent, and the human janitor, standing frozen in the white light, whispered only one word. "What's happening?" The princess stared at him, her golden eyes glowing brighter than ever. She didn't know it yet, but her joke had just changed the fate of the galaxy. And somewhere far above the planet in the dark emptiness of space, ancient machines stirred awake, reacting to the human's energy signal. Unseen by anyone, a silent voice whispered through the stars. The light has returned. The human has been chosen. Eli had no idea what had begun. He only knew one thing. Life in the royal palace was about to get much more dangerous, and Princess Xyra, who had once laughed at him, would soon discover that her joke was no joke at all. The next morning, the royal palace felt different. Guards spoke in whispers, servants walked quickly, and even the air seemed heavy with unspoken questions. News of the human janitor, who passed the royal test, had already spread across the empire. Every planet under Princess Xyra's rule buzzed with rumors. Some called it a miracle, others called it a curse. But inside the palace, Eli sat quietly in a small chamber, staring at the strange clothes laid out before him. A soft black uniform with a silver crest shaped like a rising sun. He touched the fabric, still unsure if this was a dream. Yesterday he had been cleaning floors. Today he was the royal champion of Varnath. A loud hiss broke the silence as the door opened. A tall alien woman with blue skin and glowing eyes stepped inside. Her armor shone with tiny lights. "I am Captain Riva," she said firmly. "The princess sent me to prepare you." Eli stood quickly, nervous. "Prepare me? For what?" "The trial of truth," she replied. "It decides if you truly deserve the title you were given." Eli frowned. "Didn't I already pass a test?" Riva's expression didn't change. "The first test chose you. The second one will judge you." She handed him a small silver band. "Wear this. It connects your mind to the palace system. It will read your thoughts and actions. If you lie, it will know." Eli stared at the band, unsure, but slipped it on his wrist. It tightened gently, glowing faintly. Riva turned sharply and walked away. "Follow me." The walk through the palace felt endless. Alien statues watched from golden halls, and strange creatures floated in tanks of blue light. Every few steps, soldiers stopped and stared at Eli with open disbelief. When they finally reached the main chamber, Princess Xyra was already there, sitting on her throne, calm and beautiful as ever. "So, the human came," she said softly, her voice smooth like silk. "I was beginning to think you ran away." Eli bowed awkwardly. "I'm not really used to this kind of attention, Your Highness." Her lips curved. "You'll get used to it. Or you won't. Either way, the trial will decide." The chamber's floor opened, revealing a glowing platform made of crystal and light. Runes floated in the air like fireflies. Xyra stood and motioned toward it. "Step inside, human." Eli hesitated. "What will it do?" "It will show us the truth," she said simply. "Who you are, what you are, and why the ancient crystal chose you." He took a breath and stepped onto the platform. Instantly, the runes flared to life. The light surrounded him, wrapping him in energy. He felt his heart race, his mind open, and suddenly, memories flashed before his eyes. He saw Earth, his small apartment, the night he lost his job, the day he signed the off-world work contract just to pay his bills. He saw the long trip to Varnath, the endless cleaning shifts, the loneliness, and then he saw something else. Something he didn't remember. A small white spark entering his chest as he slept on the ship to Varnath. A whispering voice saying, "You are the bridge." The vision vanished. Eli gasped and fell to his knees. The audience chamber was silent. The runes had turned white again in the color of purity and truth. Princess Xyra's eyes widened. She had seen the same vision through the crystal link. "What was that?" she whispered. Eli shook his head weakly. "I don't know. It's like something was inside me, watching me." Xyra turned to her advisors. "What do our records say of such energy?" The royal scholar stepped forward nervously. "That light. It is not alien. It matches no energy signature in our archives. It's human, but it resonates with the old codes of the royal system." A low murmur filled the chamber. Xyra looked back at Eli. "So, human, you carry something our empire has not seen in thousands of years." "I carry a mop," Eli said softly, trying to joke, but his voice trembled. For a moment, even the princess smiled, but her golden eyes soon turned serious. "This is no joke anymore. Whatever you are, the royal test didn't just choose you. It awakened something through you." She stepped closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. "And now every planet in this empire will want to know why." As she turned away, the crystal platform dimmed. But deep under the palace, hidden machines began to move. Ancient circuits glowed for the first time in 10,000 years. In the darkness, a giant holographic map flickered to life, showing hundreds of alien worlds, all marked with red lights, and in the center, one small white dot pulsed brightly. Eli. The palace AI's voice spoke in the empty halls, its tone old and cold. Protocol restored. Human signature detected. The bridge has awakened. Eli didn't know any of this yet. He only knew that Princess Serena's eyes were no longer mocking. Now, they were watching him with something else. Curiosity mixed with fear. Because for the first time in royal history, the test had not revealed a champion. It had revealed a warning. The night after the trial of truth, the royal palace was quiet. Too quiet. The twin moons hung above the city of Varnath like pale eyes, watching silently as the wind carried whispers through the glass towers. Inside her private chamber, Princess Serena sat by the window, staring down at the glowing streets below. Normally, she loved this view, her people, her world, her kingdom of light. But tonight, all she could think about was the human Eli, a janitor from a faraway planet who had somehow passed the royal test, awakened the ancient system, and now stood in the middle of every conversation in the Empire. She had laughed at him once. But now she wasn't laughing. Her mind replayed the vision she had seen during the trial, that flash of light, the strange energy, and that whisper in the void. "You are the bridge." The words echoed in her head. What bridge? Between what? And why had the royal system, the ancient heart of her empire, chosen him instead of her strongest warriors? The door behind her slid open. General Korath entered, his metallic armor gleaming under the soft blue lights. He bowed deeply. "Your Highness," he said. "The council demands your decision." Serena turned slowly, her expression unreadable. "Decision?" "About the human," Korath said. "He is not one of us. The nobles are furious. The priests say the prophecy warns against outsiders. If you keep him, you risk rebellion." Serena stood up, her long gown whispering across the floor. "And if I remove him?" The general hesitated. "Then the people will calm. But the royal crystal may reject your command. It already recognized him as the chosen." She walked toward him, her golden eyes sharp. "You sound afraid, General." He met her gaze. "I am afraid, but not of him, but of what he might bring." Serena smiled faintly. "Good. Fear keeps men honest." Across the palace, Eli sat in a small guest room that felt too large for him. The walls shimmered like living light, changing color with his heartbeat. On the table lay a tray of glowing fruits that looked beautiful but tasted like soap. He poked one with a fork and sighed. "So this is what royal food looks like?" The door opened and Captain Riva stepped in. She was holding a metal book. "You should eat," she said, placing it on the table. "You'll need your strength." Eli looked up. "For what? Another test?" Riva didn't smile. "For surviving the court," he frowned. "They hate me that much?" "They fear you," she said simply. "And when people fear something they don't understand, they try to destroy it." Eli leaned back, rubbing his face. "I don't even know what I did. I was just cleaning the floor." Riva hesitated, then opened the metal book. Inside were moving holograms of ancient symbols and strange energy flows. "This is the royal code," she said. "It hasn't activated in 10,000 years. Until yesterday, when you touched the crystal." Eli stared at the glowing pages. "So what does it mean?" She closed the book gently. "It means you are connected to something older than our empire." Before he could reply, a distant alarm echoed faintly through the walls, a soft, pulsing hum. Riva stiffened. The council meeting has started. Back in the throne hall, the nobles argued loudly, their voices echoing through the high ceiling. "He's a danger." One shouted, "He's a mistake!" Another yelled, "Destroy him before the other empires hear of this." Serena sat quietly on her throne, her face calm but her mind burning. She had ruled through wars and politics, through envy and betrayal, but she had never felt this uncertain before. Then the royal scholar stepped forward. His thin fingers trembled as he held a glowing scroll. "Your Highness," he said, bowing deeply, "we have translated the message left by the trial of truth." Serena leaned forward. "Speak." The system said, "The bridge has awakened." Gasps filled the hall. The scholar continued. "The last time this message appeared was during the First Awakening, when the ancient creators vanished. It means a human may be linked to them. The hall fell silent. Even General Korath looked shaken. Serena rose from her throne. Then we cannot destroy him, she said quietly. Not yet, Korath frowned. Your Highness, she lifted her hand. If he truly is connected to the creators, harming him could destroy us all. The room went cold. The nobles fell silent. Until we know the truth, Serena said firmly. He stays under my protection. She turned and walked out, her silver hair flowing behind her like moonlight. Later that night, she stood once more by her window, watching the stars. Her reflection in the glass looked calm, but her thoughts raced. She was the princess of 1,000 worlds, proud, confident, unchallenged. Yet somehow one ordinary human had shaken her empire to its core. And deep inside, where she didn't dare admit it, a small voice whispered, not of fear, but of curiosity. Who are you, Eli? She closed her eyes as the night wind brushed her face. Far below in the quiet shadows of the palace, Eli lay awake, staring at the glowing ceiling. He didn't know that above him, the princess was asking the same question he was asking himself. Why me? Neither of them knew it yet, but the answer would change the fate of their entire galaxy. The next sunrise came quietly, painting the royal towers of Varnath in shades of silver and gold. The entire city still buzzed with gossip about the human who had become the royal champion, but inside the palace everything was hushed. Eli woke to a soft chime echoing through his new quarters. The walls shifted color to a pale blue, and a smooth mechanical voice spoke. Good morning, royal champion Eli, he groaned, rubbing his eyes. Please don't call me that, he muttered. I'm just a janitor who's really bad at waking up early. The voice ignored him and continued. Breakfast will be served in the training hall. He looked at the shining armor laid neatly beside his bed. It was beautiful. Silver plates with glowing lines running across the chest. But it felt wrong to him. He was used to holding a mop, not wearing armor. Still, he sighed, got dressed, and stepped out. The training hall was massive, a dome of white stone that shimmered like water. Captain Riva was already there, standing near a rack of strange alien weapons. You're late, she said sharply. Sorry, Eli said. Your palace is bigger than my whole city. Riva didn't smile. Today you begin your training. If you're to serve the princess, you must learn to defend her. Eli scratched the back of his neck. I don't think defending is my thing. I mostly clean up after people who fight. She handed him a staff made of black crystal. Hold this, he took it carefully. It was light, almost weightless. The moment his fingers wrapped around it, the staff glowed white, the same color as the royal test. Riva froze. Impossible. What? He asked nervously. That weapon has never responded to anyone before. Before Eli could answer, the weapon pulsed and sent a gentle shock up his arm. He stumbled back, the staff spinning in his hand, and then suddenly it stopped midair, floating beside him. Riva stared in silence. I swear I didn't do anything, Eli said quickly. Riva walked closer, studying the glowing weapon. You are doing something. It's responding to your energy. Energy? Yes, she said quietly. Human or not, your life force connects to the royal system. You are linked. The word sent a chill down Eli's spine. Later that day, the princess came to see for herself. The moment she entered the hall, everyone bowed. Eli awkwardly tried to do the same, but nearly dropped the staff again. Princess Serena watched him for a moment, then spoke. You seem to be getting along with our technology. Eli shrugged. It's not me. It's doing whatever it wants. Her golden eyes gleamed with curiosity. Perhaps it wants to obey you. That's terrifying, he muttered. Serena stepped closer, circling him slowly like a scientist studying a new discovery. You touch our ancient weapons and they awaken. You step into the royal test and it changes color. Tell me, human, are you pretending to be ordinary? I am ordinary, he said. I fix lights, clean halls, and drink too much coffee. That's all. Her lips curved slightly, and yet the stars themselves seemed to disagree. Before she could say more, the staff in his hand hummed again, louder this time. The ground beneath them glowed with white lines spreading like cracks through ice. The guards rushed forward, but Serena raised a hand. Wait, Eli's eyes widened. The lines of light wrapped around his feet, rising like smoke. He felt no pain, only warmth like sunlight touching his skin. Then a bright image appeared in the air, an ancient symbol, spinning slowly. The royal scholar gasped. "That is the mark of the creators!" Serena's heart raced. The creators, the first beings who built the empire, who disappeared 10,000 years ago. Their symbols were sacred. The image pulsed once and vanished. Eli looked around, confused. Did I do that? Because I really didn't try to do that. Serena stepped closer. Her expression had changed, the teasing gone, replaced by wonder. Every time you say you didn't mean to, something impossible happens. Eli frowned. Then maybe I should stop touching things. But she shook her head slowly. No, keep touching them. Riva cleared her throat, breaking the silence. Your Highness, with respect, he's dangerous. If he doesn't learn control, the palace could be destroyed. Serena didn't look away from him. Then he will learn control. I'll see to it personally, Riva bowed. As you command. That night, when the training was over, Eli sat alone in the quiet hall. The white staff floated gently beside him like a loyal pet. He stared at his hands. They didn't look any different. Just the hands of a tired man who wanted a normal life. But deep inside, something new was stirring. A pulse that wasn't his heartbeat. He whispered to himself, "What's happening to me?" In the shadows above, hidden cameras watched him. The palace AI spoke softly in the dark. Human link stable. Phase 2 in progress. Far away in her chamber, Princess Serena couldn't sleep. She stood by her window again, thinking about the human who was never supposed to matter, and wondering if fate had sent him to save her world, or to end it. Darkness had fallen across the royal city of Varnath. The twin moons hid behind clouds, and for the first time in years the capital felt uneasy. The streets below the shining towers were quiet. Merchants had closed their stalls early. The sky guards flew in tense silence, their silver ships circling the palace like watchful hawks. In the grand hall, Princess Serena stood before the royal map. Red lights blinked across the border worlds, small glowing dots moving closer every hour. General Korath pointed at them with his metal glove. Enemy fleets. The Drivak Empire has learned of the human. They call him a curse. They think we've broken the old laws. Serena's golden eyes narrowed. They fear what they don't understand. Korath shook his head. They don't fear, Princess. They prepare to attack. The hall went silent. Serena looked up at the great window where thunder rolled across the sky, then let them come. Down in the training halls, Eli sat against a wall holding the same white staff that had chosen him. He had been practicing for days, but now his hands trembled. He could feel something like a heartbeat, not in his chest, but inside the weapon itself. He sighed. If this thing is alive, I hope it knows how to fight. Captain Riva walked in, her face serious. You'll need that hope soon. The Dravak fleet has crossed into our airspace. Eli stood quickly. Wait, we're under attack? Yes, the princess wants you ready. Ready? He repeated. I don't even know how this staff works. I can barely make it float. Riva's tone softened for the first time. You're not a soldier, Eli, but something inside this palace trusts you. So do I, don't think, just listen to it. Eli looked down at the staff. Listen to it, he repeated quietly. Then he heard it, faint like a whisper deep inside his mind. Protect. He blinked. Did you hear that? Riva frowned. Hear what? Nothing, he said quickly. Minutes later, the alarm bells echoed through the royal towers. The sky turned red as enemy ships entered the atmosphere, firing energy beams that lit up the night. The royal guards scrambled to the defense platforms. Cannons fired and the palace shields flared with blue light. The battle had begun. From the balcony, Princess Serena watched as explosions lit the horizon. Her heart tightened, not with fear, but with something she hadn't felt in years. Uncertainty. She turned to her commander. Where is the human? On his way, the commander said. But, Your Highness, he's not trained for this. Serena's voice was cold. Neither was I when I took the throne. The main gate of the palace burst open as explosions rocked the lower levels. Enemy drones poured in, their metal bodies crawling across the marble like shadows. Eli ran through the corridor, gripping his staff. Sparks and smoke filled the air. A royal guard fell beside him, shouting, They're breaching the core. He didn't think. He raised the staff, and suddenly the air shimmered. A wave of white light exploded from him, pushing the drones back. For a moment, the battlefield froze. The drones stopped moving. Their red eyes dimmed. Riva, watching from behind, whispered, "By the stars?" Eli looked down at the glowing staff in disbelief. "I didn't mean to do that." "Then do it again," she shouted. He raised it once more. This time the white light grew brighter, spreading into a wide shield that covered the entire gate. The enemy's weapons hit it, but the light didn't break. It sang. The royal soldiers stared in awe. The janitor was standing alone before the palace, holding a weapon that glowed like a piece of the sun. From her balcony, Princess Xyra saw the shield rise. Her breath caught. "That light," she whispered. "It's the same as the Creator's flame." General Korath turned to her. "Then it's true. The human carries their power." Serena's heart raced. "No, not their power. Their memory." Below, Eli stumbled forward, exhausted. The white shield began to fade. The staff in his hand dimmed. Then out of the smoke, a dark figure stepped forward. A Dravak warlord, towering, armored, his blade humming with dark energy. He sneered. "So this is the human who broke the test?" Eli tried to lift his staff, but his arms trembled. The warlord raised his blade to strike. And then something happened. A burst of energy erupted from Eli's chest, pure and golden, stopping the blade mid-swing. The warlord froze as his armor cracked, his weapon shattered, and a wave of light sent him flying backward. The entire battlefield went silent. Eli fell to his knees, gasping. His eyes glowed faintly white for a moment, then dimmed. From above, Xyra watched in stunned silence. "He's not human anymore," she whispered. Riva rushed to Eli's side, helping him stand. He looked up at the burning sky. "Did we win?" "For now," she said quietly. The princess descended the marble steps, her gown flowing through the smoke. She stopped before Eli, who could barely stand. She looked at him with eyes full of wonder. "You saved my world," she said softly. Eli tried to smile. "I was just trying not to die." Xyra actually laughed, a sound rare and honest. But as she looked at the fading light around him, her smile slowly faded. Because deep in her heart, she knew the truth. This battle was not the end. It was only the beginning, and the human who had saved them was changing. The war had ended. But the silence that followed felt heavier than the battle itself. Smoke curled above the royal palace, and the once bright towers of Varnath stood scarred by fire. The great shield that Eli had created was gone now. Only a faint white shimmer remained in the air, like the last breath of a dying star. In the grand courtyard, Eli sat on the cracked marble steps, breathing hard. His clothes were torn, his hands still glowing faintly from the strange light that had saved the city. He could hear the cries of the wounded, the hum of repair drones, and somewhere far away, the slow toll of the victory bells. He didn't feel like a hero. He felt empty. He looked down at the staff lying beside him. It was cracked, faintly pulsing with white light. "We made it," he whispered weakly. Somehow. Behind him, footsteps echoed. He turned and saw Princess Xyra approaching through the smoke. Her silver gown was stained with dust and ash, her crown slightly bent, but her golden eyes still shone bright. For a long moment, she didn't speak. She just looked at him, this tired, ordinary man who had done what none of her warriors could. Then she knelt beside him. "You saved my world, Eli." He gave a small, exhausted laugh. "Yeah, well, I was kinda cleaning it anyway." Her lips curved into a soft smile. But then she noticed his hands still faintly glowing. "You're hurt," he shook his head. "It doesn't hurt. It's just strange, like something's alive inside me." Her smile faded. "That light inside you? It's changing." Eli looked up at her. "Changing?" "The royal scholars say it's merging with your body. Whatever energy the test awakened, it's not fading." "It's growing," he frowned. "Growing into what?" She didn't answer. Later that night, the council gathered in the royal chamber. The tall pillars were cracked, the ceiling dark with smoke. But the nobles had already forgotten their fear. Now they whispered of power. "The human is dangerous," said one elder. "If he changes further, he could destroy us all." "He's not one of us," said another. "He should be sent away, or worse." General Korath stood at the front, his face hard. "Your Highness, your compassion blinds you. He's not our savior, he's a weapon, and weapons sooner or later turn on their masters." The princess sat quietly on her throne. Her hands were folded, her face calm, but her thoughts burned. She remembered Eli's eyes when he stood against the enemy fleet. Not cruel, not proud, only frightened and human. He didn't fight for power, she said softly. He fought to protect people he didn't even know. Korath bowed slightly. And yet power has chosen him. You must decide, Princess, keep him, or end him. The room fell silent. Every noble waited. Every guard held their breath. Finally, Serena stood. Her silver hair glowed faintly under the broken skylight. I have made my choice, she said. Eli was sitting by the same balcony where he once cleaned the glass, watching the stars. He wondered if Earth was still out there, far away, spinning quietly, never knowing what had happened to one of its forgotten janitors. He didn't hear the door open behind him. Princess Serena stepped forward, the wind catching her gown. She stood beside him in silence for a while. The council wants me to banish you, she said quietly. He nodded slowly. Yeah, I figured. But I won't, she continued. He turned to her, surprised. You won't? No, she said. Because I don't think you were sent here by chance. I think the stars chose you for a reason. And maybe that reason isn't finished yet. Eli gave a tired smile. You're risking everything for someone you barely know. Serena looked at him, her expression soft but proud. That's what leaders do. We trust before proof. They stood there together in the moonlight, watching the smoke rise from the city below. After a long silence, she said quietly, Do you know what the old words mean? The ones the test spoke. The bridge has awakened? He shook his head. It means a connection between two worlds, she said, between two hearts that were never meant to meet. Eli looked down, then smiled gently. Then I guess we're the bridge, aren't we? Her golden eyes softened. Perhaps we are. The wind shifted, carrying the scent of rain. The night sky shimmered faintly, strange lights moving among the stars. Eli looked up, frowning. Are those ships? Serena followed his gaze. Her eyes widened. No, those are signals. From the outer colonies. Good news? He asked. She shook her head slowly. No, they're warnings. A low hum echoed across the sky like a distant heartbeat. The stars seemed to flicker in answer. The princess turned to him, her face pale but determined. The war isn't over, Eli. This was only the first wave. Eli stood beside her, the cracked staff glowing faintly in his hand. Then I guess I'll need a new mop. She smiled softly, even as fear shadowed her eyes. Then I guess I'll need a new champion. And together, the alien princess and the human janitor stood beneath the rising storm, unaware that far beyond the stars, something ancient was watching them, something that had waited 10,000 years for the bridge to awaken again. The legend of the human champion of Varnath had only just begun.